In Parshas B'chukosai, we read the Tochacha. The Tochacha is God's admonition of the Jewish people. V'im lo sishma'u li v'lo sa'asu es kol ha'mitzvos ha'ela. So unfortunately, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if you don't listen to me and don't follow the Torah, some terrible things are going to happen to you. Unfortunately, much of the Tochacha has indeed been fulfilled. The Tochacha is not describing something that happens to us all at once. Rather, it happens to us in stages. In God's mercifulness, He pauses and wishes for us to do better, and then things will get better for us. In between these stages, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, V'im telchu imi keri, v'lo soivu l'shma'ali. If your response is keri, and you don't wish to listen to me and do the mitzvahs. Similarly, in a few psukim beyond that, V'im ba'ela lo sivasruli, v'halachtem imi keri. And then V'im bezos lo sishma'uli, v'halachtem imi bekeri. So what is keri? What is this incorrect response on our part called keri? Unkla says it means kashu, which means stubbornness. Kasha means to be hard-hearted and not responding with sensitivity, with a sense of what it is that God is doing. Targum Yonasan ben Uziel more pointedly says, keri means arai. Keri means where we say it's all happenstance, where we don't reflect on what's happening and say it's about us. Rather, we say it's an accident. It's just circumstantially so. Crops are failing. It must be just the bad luck of bad weather. Things are not good in the economy. Blame others. Blame war. Blame the pandemic. Blame anything. Instead of saying, this is because of us. In all instances, our response to tough times should be, somehow, let's do better, because this is about us. 1 week from today, we're going to mark Yom Yerushalayim, the miraculous reunification of Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh during the Six-Day War. When the war began, the Jews of Jerusalem were bombarded by the Jordanians. Many tons of bombs were rained down by the Jordanian artillery. For practically the first 3 days of the war, many Jews in Yerushalayim had to live in bomb shelters. The Miri Yeshiva is just 1 block away from what was the Green Line separating Jordanian-held territory from West Jerusalem. The yeshiva, in fact, sustained a direct hit. For days, they lived in the bomb shelter, in the miklat, beneath the yeshiva, together with many people from the neighborhood, other people living in Beis Yisrael, who had no other safe place to be. They were together for practically 3 days in a row in the bomb shelter. Later on, describing how and why they survived, in what merit, in what schus, Rav Chaim Shmulevitz of sainted memory, the Rosh Yeshiva, explained how they reacted and why, perhaps, they had been granted salvation. Rav Chaim said that as the bombs hit and the building shook, they cried out, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And as we recite at the very end, at the climactic termination of Yom Kippur, Hashem Hu Elokim, the way we recite Hashem Hu Elokim when we say Vidui. And Rav Chaim said, but that's not why we survived. Rav Chaim said, I don't think that's the reason. It wasn't in that merit. Rav Chaim said there was a woman near him, sitting near him in the miklat, a woman who lived in Beis Yisrael, whose husband had abandoned her 20 years earlier. She was an aguna for 20 years, living a difficult, bitter life. She was a washwoman who washed other people's clothes to eke out a meager living. When the bombs hit, this woman cried out, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm Meichel him, I forgive him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I forgive them, I forgive everyone. She was saying, I can forgive them. won't you therefore also forgive us? And Rav Chaim said, that's why we were saved. In the schus of that woman who cried out, I forgive them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave us in kind. When we respond to difficult times, it should be with an eye toward how we can help each other and how we must forgive each other. If we are forced to be distant from one another, then reflecting on that, we should recognize that perhaps sometimes what we've done or what was done to us meant too much distance between us, not physically, but spiritually and in our hearts. And so this might be a good time to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I forgive them. Because if we forgive each other, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will forgive us. And then we will be able to draw close to one another, really, truly close to each other, once again, without any distance between us. Tomorrow, we'll have to say, each of us here, in our own home, there, in someone else's home, they will say, Chazak, Chazak. But let's hope soon we'll be together. Let's forgive each other and be good to one another. And we'll say, Chazak, Chazak, and together, V'nis Chazek. Good Shabbos.